Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Lansky. And this is a biopic about gangster Meyer Lansky, starring Harvey Keitel and from director Etan Rockaway, who also wrote the film with Robert Rockaway. And this isn't your... In many ways, it is kind of a by-the-numbers biopic, but it's framed in a different manner as we have this journalist, played by Sam Worthington, interviewing Meyer Lansky later in life about his life. And this film, the biggest selling point here is watching Harvey Keitel, who can still go. And he gives a really strong performance here. I really appreciated his bringing to life of Meyer Lansky in this film, and he was definitely, like, if you're going to watch this for any reason, unless you're like a big fan of like gangster history and stuff like that and you're interested, or you want one big reason why to take a leap of faith on this film, is to sit and watch a incredible actor like Harvey Keitel come in and actually do his thing. And in his 80s, he can still do it. And he showed that in The Irishman, and you get to see it again here in a pretty substantial role in Lansky. And Rockaway, as a director, this film is a bit messy in terms of how it's put together. It's a little drab. It's very gray. There's not a whole lot of life to the visuals in the film, especially because, like, you go to Cuba at points and different places, which, having seen some of this stuff in The Godfather Part 2, because Hyman Roth is supposed to be Meyer Lansky, it's interesting. The film doesn't pull any punches. It definitely is violent and bloody and gory at times, which I guess it chose to go all in on that, but leave some other things feeling kind of flat. And I'll admit, there's definitely some moments that are inspired filmmaking, like the closing of just this frame of Meyer Lansky on this beach. It's a beautiful shot, and it's a great way to just hit that exclamation point here. But as you look at this film, the production design and the costumes, they really work. But what really brings us down is when you get into that kind of the main character here, Sam Worthington, this journalist. It would be like the interview with an interview with the vampire, and you spending a ton of time with Christian Slater's backstory. And it's just like, no, Christian Slater in that film is just there to do the interview. Here you have Sam Worthington, and like, he has family issues, and he starts falling for this woman who might not be who she appears to be, and the feds are getting involved with him. And straight out of JAG, you got David James Elliott here, who plays a perfect FBI agent, coming at him, and it's just like, you don't care. Like, go back to why we're here. And I understand it's a way of trying to shake things up and frame it differently, but like, I don't think it really ever felt necessary or fleshed out enough, and I don't really care enough. And I don't think Sam Worthington's the strongest of actors to try to have that kind of emotional hook, which this film was desperately trying to make that work. And the framing narrative and everything just feels a little shaky and doesn't really come together, because there's so many things that are incredible about Meyer Lansky's life that are just skimmed across because you're spending so much time with Sam Worthington and stuff going on outside of the story. And John Magaro, who plays Meyer Lansky as a younger man who's from things like The Big Short and First Cow, he does a really fine job in this film, and honestly would have rather have spent more time with him as a younger Meyer Lansky than with Sam Worthington and dealing with his problems, because I don't get why they want to spend so much time here. So basically, when it really comes down to it, it's spread so thin, and you get very surface level on a lot of different things. It's like, oh, we talked about Israel, but like, there could have been so much more about that. We talked about Bugsy Malone, and like, you could have had so much more digging down into the, Bugsy Siegel. And it's like you could have had so much more digging into those things, but you're just cutting back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And like you could have spent more time with Keitel, spent more time with Magaro, but no, you spend all this time with Sam Worthington in this story that isn't nearly as interesting as what this film's supposed to be about. So in the end, I feel like this film's a bit of a mixed bag of a biopic. It tries to do something different with its framing device, but it doesn't really pay off. And you just kind of feel left wanting some more Keitel. And that's how I felt by the end of this film. But in general, if you're interested in this kind of story and this backstory and like this mobster kind of history, check this one out. Give it a watch. But if you're not, this isn't going to win any new converts to this kind of film. But those are my thoughts on Lansky. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.